Yo, what's poppin', my people? It's your boy Crooks the Great, aka CTG, and I'm back at you guys. Bro, get up. Yo, what's poppin', my people? It's your big homie Crooks the Great, aka CTG, and I'm back with a very special video today. Because in today's video, we're going to be going over some of the changes that are going to be brought about because of the new UFC 5 patch that's going to be dropping tomorrow. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So the drop time for this patch is going to be at 2 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. So those of you guys that are on Pacific time, California and states like that, Nevada, I believe, is also in Pacific time. It's going to be at 2 p.m. your guys' time. And Washington and Oregon, I believe, are on this time as well. If you guys are in Mountain Time, it's going to be 3 o'clock your time in the afternoon. If you're in the Central Time Zone, it's going to be 4 o'clock. And if you're in the Eastern Time Zone, it's going to be 5 o'clock. So be on the lookout for the patch around then. Now, the new fighters that they're dropping tomorrow that are coming with the patch are Sean Brady and Jalen Turner. Now, we're going to go ahead and look at Jalen Turner's stats right here. He's going to have 93 punch speed and 95 punch power with 95 accuracy. And he's going to be a 4-star. Now, me, in my opinion, I feel like this is pretty much where Jalen Turner is at. He's a very good striker on the feet. He's very accurate, and he hits pretty hard, as was evident in his Bobby Green fight that he starts one of my favorite fighters. So we're not going to get into that, but I agree with his stats right here. Sean Brady is also going to be a 4-star. His takedowns are going to be 93. His top control is going to be a 96. And then his submission offense is going to be a 93. Overall, I feel like this is very accurate. I would argue maybe his takedown should be a little bit higher, but maybe like a 94. But, you know, that's about the only argument I have with the stats that they've shown right here. I'm interested to see what his striking stats are going to be as well as Jalen Turner's grappling stats. I feel like that's really going to shape how often these guys are used in online play. But the UFC 299 Fight Week challenges and new alter egos are going to be dropped 2 hours after the patch drops. So at 4 p.m. Pacific time, so 2 hours after the patch comes out, is when the new Fight Week challenges and the new alter egos are going to be dropped. So for those of you guys that are content creators like myself, and that love doing the Fight Week challenges and stuff like that, this is going to be around the time you're going to want to be watching for those. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty things that people want to find out about this patch. You feel me? So, all right, so things that are going to be changed in the striking aspect on this patch is going to be that they're increasing the stamina cost of blocked, missed, and evaded strikes in the stand-up. So this change is similar to the one in the previous patch, but bigger. So plus 7.5% for block strikes on top of the plus 2.5 from the previous patch. And then plus 10% for missed and evaded strikes on top of the plus 5 from the previous patch. Now, if you guys have been watching my channel for quite a while, as well as my live streams, I have preached for more stamina attacks on block strikes. This one right here is, you guys are going to see, make a little bit more of a difference than it already has. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, pressure fighters, they love to hit your block because hitting your block costs less stamina than if your strike is being evaded. So that's what it has allowed a lot of people to have these crazy strike outputs. You'll see 300 strike outputs damn near in almost every single fight, even if it's amongst elite level players. So what they're trying to do with this plus 7.5 stamina attacks on block strikes on top of the 2.5 that they already had is they're trying to encourage people to have to think about what they're throwing instead of just throwing an absorbent amount of strikes at somebody's block and still being able to have a high amount of stamina in the latter round. So in round 3, round 4, round 5. So I think this is going to be, you guys are going to see more of a change in 5-round fights. And maybe this will impact 3-round fights. Hopefully it does. But, you know, I think you're going to see more of an impact in 5-round fights. Now, the plus 10% for missed and evaded strikes on top of the plus 5 from the last patch, I feel like it's going to be a noticeable difference. If you're able to use good head movement and evade and make your opponent miss, it's going to be that much easier to gas your opponent. So I would be expecting to see guys like Ed Parker, guys that really know when to move their head and make people whiff on strikes, really love this change right here. And if you're a counter striker in general, you're really going to love that change right there. So the next bullet point says, even though the change is larger than the previous tuning, it is an incremental change rather than an overall. You may notice we often go for more significant increases or decreases when tuning other aspects of the game. However, stamina is a very complex variable with a heavy compounding effect. Therefore, in this one case, we have been more cautious. We will continue to look at data and listen to the community. If stamina remains abundant after this change, we are ready to implement a more impactful change in the next patch. Now, why they put this in here is because people have been jumping on EA's case, myself included, about the stamina tax. The stamina tax has really been a point of contention between the UFC 5 community and EA itself. So they're kind of giving you guys a reasoning as to why they're doing it. They're saying, hey, you know what? If we overhaul the whole thing, we really run into the problem of maybe potentially breaking the game in itself. It might be that we don't do it enough, or we do it too much to where stamina just really is all out of whack. So they're saying, hey, you know what? We've kind of just incrementally added more stamina tax, which is understandable. It's understandable. They don't want to do something that's going to potentially break the stamina in the game and then have to go back and refix it, because nothing's going to be gained out of that. So I do respect that they did put this in here. I'm not sure if they put this in here before or not, because I can't remember going over the last patch if they put it in there. But it's letting us know that if the stamina really does not change heavily like they're trying to make it, and we're still having issues with it, they're ready to implement. I don't know why that word's so hard for me to say. A more impactful change in the next patch. So they're really paying attention to what we're saying about the stamina. Now, whether that's fixing the problem still remains to be seen after this patch. So they fixed the tracking issue with spinning strikes. Spinning strikes were unduly tracking evasions, and it was possible to evade them, but it required an unintended sweet spot in timing that other strikes don't demand. Now they should behave like other strikes. I'm not necessarily sure what this means. Maybe they had evasion frames on spinning strikes that they didn't really mean for them to be there, and now that they fixed that, that's maybe what I'm taking it to mean. But I'm real interested to see what this means. I'm gonna have to go and ask somebody like Romero or any of the other game changers what exactly this means right here. So the next bullet point said they reduced the base damage of the spinning elbows. So the lead elbow from a base damage of 30 to 25, and the rear spinning elbow from 35 to 20. So now this is a good thing to see, because this means that spinning elbows are not going to be landing and doing as much damage as they did before. So these two things right here, I feel like are going to make a real impact for those of you guys that have trouble dealing with people who just love to spam the spinning elbows. So the next one too, they reduced the range of the spinning elbows. The range was reduced from that of a jab range to that of a regular standing elbow. This could be a really big game changer against people who love to spam spinning elbows. Because like they said right here, in order for you to throw the spinning elbow, it was at jab range, and they changed it to elbow range. Now, for those of you guys that didn't know, jab range and elbow range, there's a really big difference in the ranges. Jab ranges, you hit from farther. You can step in and throw from farther. But elbow range, you damn near have to be breathing on your opponent in order to land an elbow. So, very, very welcome change, man. It feels like something that we should have had a long time ago. So, they reduced the block stun caused by the spinning elbows. This means the defender can act sooner after blocking the strike. The spinning elbows will end up at a greater timing disadvantage after they're blocked. Now, for those of you guys that don't know anything about frames, everything that you land on block has a block stun, but spinning elbows had more of a hit stun on block than most strikes. And this is what allowed somebody to land that really infamous spinning elbow to lead elbow combination that a lot of people like to throw after the spinning elbow. And this is really going to make that a lot harder to land because now the block stun isn't there. Because of them lessening the block stun on it, you're going to be able to input a strike that much faster and potentially interrupt and get a rock fresh off somebody throwing a spinning elbow. So that's really nice. That really, really is nice. They halved the block bleed through caused by the spinning elbow from 10% to 5%. So this is the percentage of damage that goes through regardless of the block meter. Now, this is going to make it that much harder for people to block break with spinning elbows, which is kind of nice. You don't really want to get finished by an animation that's not only ridiculously fast, but it's also going to hit you and bleed through at a higher percentage on your block. So that's also another really, really good thing that they're doing. They quadrupled the vulnerability conceded by the spinning elbows, which means you're now open to getting hit and getting rocked at a higher rate than you were previously. They reduced the base damage of the regular stand-up elbows, the lead elbow from 20 to 17.5, and the rear from 25 to 22.5. Now, who this is going to affect is people that love to pull elbow. It's going to make it a little bit harder for you to get a pull elbow rock or to even get a pull elbow KO. And I think that's why they did this specifically, because they noticed a lot of people trending more towards the pull elbow. So this is made to try to combat that. They slightly increased the vulnerability conceded by the regular stand-up elbows from the same as a jab to that of a hook. So basically, when you get caught in vulnerability right here, instead of eating damage like you would from somebody slipping a jab or pulling a jab, you're going to get damage from somebody pulling a hook. So if you throw an elbow and you miss and somebody hits you, the vulnerability is going to be that it would basically mean like somebody just slipped one of your hooks, which is really going to start making people rethink about throwing pull elbows and these double elbow combinations that you see everybody tend to throw. Those of you guys that are newer tend to throw, or people that love to spam elbows. They love to throw these double and triple elbows and stuff like that. So it's going to make them rethink having to do that because of the increased vulnerability. They made it harder to cause the special guard breaks of specific kicks such as the hook kick and the rolling thunder. The long-term block health threshold changed from 85, 15 damage to 60 with 40 damage. Now, I'm glad that they addressed this. I didn't really notice it too much with the hook kicks because I don't see a lot of people throwing those when they fight me. But the rolling thunder I did see quite a bit. Shout out to the homie Indian who throws this a lot to block break. Basically, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to eliminate people spamming that by lowering the damage by 15%, which is really, really good. It's really, really good. It's going to prevent people from just going in and spamming that, because you would find a lot of people with Justin Gaethje spamming that, people with Conor McGregor spamming that to try to get rocks, and they would just drain your block meter down and then throw a rolling thunder to bleed through. So I'm really, really glad that they're adjusting that. And the last one, well, not the last one, but the next bullet point is they removed an unintended damage penalty from nose injuries. It affected straight and uppercut arc strikes, increasing the damage by over 30%. This fix should reduce the compounding effect of causing a nose injury and making corresponding doctor stoppages significantly harder to achieve. Nose injuries continue to inflict a 15% penalty to short-term stamina recovery speed. I'm wondering how this one's going to work. Is it going to make it a lot harder for us to get doctor stoppages now? Because I feel like doctor stoppages are already increasingly hard to get unless you're spamming. Unless you're spamming like elbows. If you're spamming elbows, like pull elbows, ducking elbows, clinch elbows, then doctor stoppages are a little bit easier to get. But I'm wondering how this is gonna affect the overall gameplay and doctor stoppages. So, like I said, I'm gonna have to ask somebody like Romero really the impact that this is gonna have on the gameplay online. So the last one is said it improved blood particle effects from big hits when the fighter is bleeding significantly from the nose or mouth. This change was in the previous patch but not informed in the patch notes. So they basically are just informing us of something that they changed in the last patch. So now, the grappling, which has been a really big point as of late. If you guys have been watching the Pride videos and stuff like that. So the first one that they said is they're canceling a double leg into the over-under clinch will now require a 1% stamina advantage. This is a much requested change that aims to encourage more variety in the wrestling. Now, what this basically means is people are not going to be getting free double leg bells like they are now. This is what they reverted the single leg bell to in UFC 4, and it really killed that spamming meta of the single leg bell in UFC 4. So this is exactly what they're trying to do here in UFC 5. They're trying to discourage the use of double leg bell spamming. They reduced the stamina advantage requirement for canceling the single leg and low single leg into the back clinch from 30 to 20. It's another one. Ground and pound submissions will now require a health event. This change's goal is to prevent the submission true combos that were possible by stringing deep submissions / desperate escapes that ended up in a ground and pound position right into another submission attempt and subsequent finish. Now, this one is important, and this one is meant to address a lot of people that go for an arm bar or like an arm triangle and then get tossed into full mount, into postured up full mount, and then immediately go for an arm bar right after that. It's meant to prevent people from continuously being able to get you in submissions with low stamina, which is really a welcome sight to see. I'm not going to lie. Now, what this doesn't address is people getting you in full mount, rocking you, and then going for an armbar. You're still going to have to deal with that. That's not going to get taken out, which is fair. If somebody postures up with ground and pound in full mount and they rock you, in real life, there's a potential chance that they're going to go for an armbar in real life as well. So that's very realistic. But this change right here is really a welcome sight for those of you guys that literally get caught in submissions with low stamina. Very welcome sight. So the next one is they reduce the stamina advantage requirement of some ground and pound transitions. So from postured full guard to stack guard, 50 to 10, stack guard to half guard, 10 to 5, stack guard to side control, 25 to 10. For those of you guys that didn't know this, if you posture up and your opponent you are at a stamina advantage, you got a free transition. Now, what this is meant to do is it's going to make it easier to get into these positions. From postured up full guard, you used to have a 50% stamina advantage. Now you only need a 10. From stack guard to half guard, you needed a 10% stamina advantage before. You're only going to need 5 now. And from stack guard to side control, you used to have a 25, and now you're only going to need a 10. So this is going to make it easier for those of you guys that love to be on the ground and go for ground and pound and really just be transitioning. Make it easier for you to be able to grapple and get yourself in dominant positions. So the next one is they fixed an issue with the Darce struggle animation temporarily hiding other actions. I've talked about this. Nas made a video on this too, where the Darce, if you struggled while getting in the Darce choke, there was a time where the animation would kind of be hidden and you weren't able to block it unless you knew that they were doing that. They addressed it. This is going to make Darce chokes more easily deniable, which is a nice thing to see. They added a heel hook entry to the top stat guard to the top stat guard ground and pound position. So now, if you knock somebody down, you get into a ground and pound position in the stat guard, or you're able to get stat guard out of postured up full mount or postured up full guard. You're now going to be able to hit a heel hook if your fighter has it. But it's going to require, right here it says it requires heel hook level 1, and according to how the ground and pound submissions shall work after this patch, it also requires a health event. So if you get a rock, you get into a ground and pound scenario in stat guard, you're going to be able to go for a heel hook. And right here they tell you the inputs. So the input for PlayStation is going to be L2, R1, and down on the right stick. And on Xbox, it's going to be L2 or LT, RB, and down on the right stick. So there you go. They are allowing the muscle modifier to be used in transitions from bottom mount to bottom back mount. Interesting. So basically, they're going to allow you to go from and make the muscle modifiers, which speed up the ground transitions from bottom mount to back mount, to allow you to get to back mount faster. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to avoid somebody who's looking to just ground and pound you in full mount and look for those submissions off of the health events in full mount. So it's going to bring you another viable tool to avoid the full mount position. So now, in order for you to use the muscle modifiers, you're going to hold R1 if you're on PlayStation, or hold RB on Xbox and roll to back mount, which is going to be either left or right. And it's going to make it that much easier to get to that position to avoid getting ground and pounded out in full mount. So they say here the mount feels slightly too strong after some recent ground and pound tuning. This new change is designed as an authentic and dynamic option for the bottom fighter. Its viability will likely depend on whether the attacker is more dangerous with ground and pound or submissions, as spending a lot of stamina to turn your back will mean playing with fire against the threat of a rear naked choke or an armbar. Now, that is very true. So just know, if you are using your muscle modifier to go from back mount or from bottom mount to back mount, it's going to cost you about anywhere in between 20 to 45% of your stamina, depending on where and when you're using it. So just be aware that once you hit that transition, the threat of the rear naked choke or the armbar from the postured up or from the back mount is going to be that much more prevalent. So just be aware that when you use the muscle modifier to get to the back mount, that those people that are fishing for subs are immediately going to try to get you in a submission right after you do so. So be prepared to defend that. So the next one is they slightly reduce facial redness during submissions, which is more of an aesthetic thing than anything else. So the miscellaneous additions and updates, they have new vanity rewards. They fixed some incorrect vanity descriptions. They added simplified explanations to the reward screens. They added the ability to purchase online career XP boost in the game store. They fixed several rare crashes, and they fixed some visual glitches in the store tab. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is a full breakdown on the patch that is going to be coming tomorrow for you guys on UFC 5. Let me know, do you guys think this patch is going to really make an impactful difference on UFC 5? Or do you guys think, or are you guys kind of are you guys kind of like just in wait and see mode, like a lot of people in the community? Let me know what you guys think about what we broke down. I'm going to be answering every comment in the comment section. So please drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this patch, whether it be good or bad. But until the next video, guys, take it easy, be safe, enjoy the rest of your guys' day, afternoon, evening, depending on where you guys are watching this from. Make sure to slap that subscribe button if you're new, and slap that like button so this video does get tossed into the YouTube algorithm for everybody in the UFC community. But until the next time, take it easy, and I'll see y'all later on, though.